People of Reddit, why are you so obsessed with sex-themed questions? Everybody seeks what they lack. I wonder if that's why I always self-sabotage. Because you lack failure? That's not humble at all, Mayo. Because Reddit is anonymous, you can ask about people's experiences with taboo, inappropriate, or awkward subjects without feeling too exposed. You also can ask questions of people you either do not normally associate with, or who keep those things private. I can have just about every other type of conversation out in the real world. I only feel comfortable talking about sex-related topics with my intimate partner, or people who are totally anonymous, so they can't extrapolate who I'm talking about. This is also why mental health, physical health, financial issues, and political opinions are popular topics on Reddit. People generally avoid discussing those topics with people they know, and so become starved for the need to discuss them somewhere. I could understand that, especially since if you feel as if you're personally struggling or ashamed of your mental, physical, or financial well-being, you'd want a way to ask without coming forward and exposing your debts, illnesses, injuries, insecurities, or otherwise. If you told your friend that you aren't sure how you'll afford to live, they'd think you're asking for money. Some people we think of as friends are just familiar acquaintances, hanger-ons. The term friend is devalued, and not many people really have friends. They just want the status of having, or being a friend. They have no intention to grow closer or really know you better as a person. They just like the familiar face and they'd prefer to imagine you as a better person than you really are, as opposed to a faulty being. If you opened up to your family that you aren't on the same political page, or you are struggling with depression, or you need to start changing habits, or struggle to pay bills in your situation, they may cast judgment. There's horror stories on Reddit of parents that punish children for not being who they wanted, or for having a mental illness, or for trying to watch what they eat, or being unable to afford to live alone in their economy. Not everyone you know is someone safe to talk to, but when your security is anonymity, you can afford to be called every bad name you're afraid to be called in real life, because they are just as anonymous as you. The power of horny. Go to horny jail. Bark. Ouch. That hurt. Semicolon close bracket. Mixture of two things. First thing. Sex is on many people's minds some of the time, if not most of the time, depending on the person. Second thing. Reddit is mostly teenagers and 20-somethings, so multiply 0.1 by about 100. Thirdly, a certain subsection of the population is actively avoiding contact with others. Lot of horny people out there right now. There was a pandemic right before the roaring 20s. Arguably the most promiscuous time in American history up to that point. I wonder if there is any correlation. If we are going to parallel the previous century, then I hope we aren't going to have to repeat the events of next 2 decades. Because they are trying to experience it through proxy. Cause we all know they are never getting laid. Bro, I get laid all the time. You just won't know who she is because she goes to a different sub. Lem guess. /r/Canada. Because they can generate a lot of karma. I find it so amateur. Basically half the really upvoted posts on TIFF are about sex, genitals or bodily functions, or even a combination of them. Oh my, so tried to fart and shit on the floor. So cute. She's a keeper. That sub is such trash. I used to browse TIFF ever since it was its own website, and it was one of the first subs I followed on here. It's nowhere near as entertaining as it used to be. I'm a virgin and curious about everything that has to do with sex. It's that easy. TBH same. It's like a cold glass of water in a desert. The things that are missing in your life bring the most joy. I need more desserts in my life. You like it dry? O_O. People be ducking. Crazy if true. Pics or it didn't happen. It's because Redditors are horny on the daily and never have sex of their own. Go to horny jail. Bark. BONK. It's been 7 months since I had sex, and that makes me think about it kind of a lot. The replies to this comment clearly illustrates part of the answer. Because every time someone mentions sex there is a storm of upwards showering people who need to compete over the title of most miserable sex life. Someone mentions how long it has been since they got laid. Someone else needs to mention an even longer time. And lastly come those of us who, for whatever reason, have not lost our virginity at a time where most of our friends have managed to produce kids. Yeah, it sucks that everyone wants to one-up each other, but I guess they at least get a chance to vent about it. We are asking questions like virgins imagine how non-virgins act. Humans yearn what they cannot obtain. Deleted. He ain't thinking like you. Even if he told you you wouldn't understand. Sex is usually taboo to talk about, and it's a common subject we all can relate to. I think the answer to this question is rather simple. I wonder that as well, and have noticed many of the popular questions have to do with sex. What is the deal? Question mark. Jerry Seinfeld has entered the chat. Haha. Exclamation mark. Fair point. D. A site where 80% of people aren't getting laid, and this is a mystery to you? 80% of the people on here are married? Wow. $5 says this dude's next one-liner is lol marriage is prison lol. Because duck you, that's why. Or duck me. Just please can I be involved in some ducking? Gee. Alrighty then unzips. / excited clapping. Everything on this planet is about sex. Except sex. Sex is about power. I agree with the first part. I think that sex-related issues are still considered taboo, especially in some communities. So there is a lot of questions that people feel they can't ask in real life. So what's a better place than an anonymous site used to ask questions to a big and diverse group of people? It is the only action I get. Deleted. I wish pictures were allowed, so I could post one of anguished crying. Here. Because they ask with their wieners in their hands. One must research what they know not. IDK. But this post was tagged NSFW, which is hilarious. Fear of the unknown. Humans of Earth. Why are you so obsessed with sex? Because it's how we ensure that our genes are preserved, even after our death. Happy Cake Day. BTW. Lol, I had no idea. Thank you. The ace community agrees with Op on this one. Have you not heard? Everyone on Reddit are virgins. We want to know what it's like. You want what you can't have. Because our educational system does a terrible job explaining sex, and even adults are insecure and full of questions. Thank God for this post. Seriously, it's all I see. So many ducking weirdos on here. Being asexual on Reddit is such a struggle, Mayo, I don't get it. Being anything other than a horny teenager, you mean? Humans like to duck. Or think about ducking. Shrug. Because most of Reddit is addled with pornography to such a degree that now they have ed from it and couldn't get it up if they had a real woman in front of them. Semicolon. It's all they have. And they deserve it. WTF. Nothing is as unifying to all living creatures as sex. Even if you haven't had it or do not want it, your life has always been influenced by someone having it. Deleted. Way to look on the bright side. We are horny. Cheryl. Because we don't get laid. Well, it's the only way for my posts to get attention. Because the demographic of the site has grown increasingly younger. Sex is a big part of life. Plus it's an opportunity to get insight from people who don't know you and are less biased BC of it. Cause we are all virgins, no? I would imagine that some of them come from the piss poor sex education that many states give to students. Ends up with 18-year-olds that don't know anything about sex going around attempting to duck someone in the urethra. Because their balls just dropped and all they think about anymore is sex. Horny. HORNY. Because is HORNY. Because they're a bunch of 12-year-olds. I'm not, but find some of the questions and responses interesting. I guess it is the anonymity aspect. Wow, got super hard reading that question. Wait, what were we talking about? Not a person, but my guess is that they are lonely. I like to answer them because it's fun to answer sex questions, and it can be fun to read the answers. The answers on this subreddit differ greatly from answers given on r/askreddit after dark and r/sex though. People who know nothing about a subject often want to learn more. Virgins. Because I'm a lonely virgin with no friends. I don't experience sex that much, so I'm interested in seeing how it's like for other people, plus it's anonymous, so I don't feel weird. You became the very thing you swore to destroy! Exclamation mark. Because they are horny as ducked you to not having any of it. Because sex sells. Duh. And while I have you here, I'd like to tell you about my health and wellness journey. Multiple income streams and an investment in yourself. /s. Horny people gonna horn. People want points. Sex questions generate upvotes. Because we're all a bunch of horny virgins. I just be horny. Have you ever had sex op? PFFT. Honestly, I think sex, kinks etc. are just fun and interesting to talk about. Most PPL have things to say about it, and it offers a new, more personal insight into a person. Did you know that excessive sex can cause memory loss? Yeah, I read that in an article. Page 23 on October 5th at 8:19 am. Clever lol. Have you been to r/Tifu? It's 99% sex shit and basic like Tifu by forgetting to wear clothes when answering the door. Because we're horny virgins. Horny. Probably because people are able to hide behind the keyboard and anonymity of the internet to talk about things they can't in face-to-face conversations or their friend circles. Excuse me, I thought we were only supposed to talk about hot, wet, and naked time on this sub. There is only sex. Everything is sex. Do you understand that what I'm telling you is a universal truth? #SEXSELLS. Well, to be fair, it's an endlessly complex and fascinating topic, that we don't get to talk about very much in everyday, polite society. An anonymous, textual forum like this is ideal to share and learn about the vast diversity of sexual practice from a safe distance. At least if you're a nerdy horny perv like me, I don't know why we wouldn't. Because literally none of us know what we are doing as we have yet to experience it. I'm here for the sex themed answers. I just find them interesting to read. You caught me. I actually came on here today to ask one on this sub. Cause we are horny. Next question. Because we're all virgins. Horny on main. Horny. Because boob is very philosophical. Trust me, I've had 16 years of experience thinking about it. For the same reason so much of all internet traffic is porn. Lots of horny people out there trying to fap. Also, honestly, some of the funniest stories I've read on this sub were sex related. Because most of the users asking the questions are pubescent teenagers at that time in their lives. Sex is pretty much something they're curious about and think about a lot. There's literally another subreddit just for sexy questions. They're empty. Honestly, I think just about everybody is secretly obsessed with sex, not just redditors. This is just a good place to discuss it anonymously. Evolution. Because they are primitive. In other words, savages. Living out of the Freudian id complex. Horny. Because on every sex-themed question thread there are 100 offended over how somebody dared to ask a sex-themed question As if those questions have less merit than the other random thoughts and queries on this sub. Dear virgins. Because no one ever asks us sex questions. This ducking question again. I wish this question got banned. Sex is fun. Because the internet is for porn. Always thought I would get downvoted if I ever said this, but thank you. As a sexual trauma survivor, like many other people. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. It's actually really shitty not to be able to go on your favorite website without being bombarded with posts about sex. Not everyone has a healthy past and it's shitty living in a hypersexualized world. Okay. Rant over. Thanks for making this post. Because the average Reddit user is a 16-year-old fat virgin. I mean, isn't this question pretty much like asking why the world is so obsessed with sex? Why TV, movies, music, art, psychology etc. are so obsessed with sex? Why sex sells, or will be used to try and sell literally anything? Why the human condition is a human condition? People generally speaking are sex themed. We want sex themed answers. 90% of the time, it's something I can fap to. I never got no proper sex education. I literally searched for this sub for sex themed questions. I feel violated. We all know Redditors are crushing pussy 24/7. So it makes sense we want to talk about the thing we do all the time. r/us Reddit is a place to ask and answer thought-provoking questions. Reddit. What's the weirdest thing that has happened to you during sex? Women of Reddit. What do you think about having sex with a virgin? Redditors of Reddit. What's the sexiest sex thing that you've ever sexed while you were having sex? Sex sexy sexing sex. Sex sexing sex. Married couples. What's your sex life like? If you had a dick 1 mile long, what would you do? Because they're all 12 to 14 years old and think penis/vagina is the height of hilarity and edginess. There's no other way to interpret that. Horny. It isn't boring to read. Source. Because we're thirsty. You just did it. I'm 21 and never once had a relationship. Sex is a social project, and so is Reddit. I think there is an obvious connection here. Why not use Reddit to discover and learn more about such a fundamental and ever fascinating subject such as sex? Horny. Unzips. No particular reason. I assure you. BC I'm a virgin. Because sex ed isn't mandatory in schools. Same people who meme about it. They make fun of things like my girl disappearing when I take pills or my girl when my alarm clock goes off. It's just stupid that they try to make fun of their sadness just to get happy by making people laugh at their sadness. We get it. You never interacted with girls before, and me as a guy who is going to approach the age of 20 soon. The TFW no GF meme is kinda repetitive now. There, I said it. I think the better question is, why are people obsessed with asking why people are obsessed with sex questions? Plain and simple. Humans are horny, and it is fun and exciting to ask and get answers to sex related questions. Keep them coming. Pun intended. Close bracket. To be honest, I think people forget that there is probably a large proportion of Reddit's user base in high school, and they're probably just as horny as you were back then. They just got to know how awesome doing it is. There is only sex. Everything is sex. Do you understand that what I'm telling you is a universal truth? Sex is a multifaceted topic that can cause several different emotions. Happiness, sadness, horniness, humor, fear. Plus it's just natural to be curious sex stuff. Honestly, I just find them interesting. For the same reason people read the Savage Love column in the papers. We as humans are imprinted with strong sexual curiosity and desire. If not, we would not still be here. Throw in the Victorian sex is dirty culture that we still are suffering from, and parents who rarely exhibit natural sexual attraction to their partners in front of us kids. And here we all are. Because sex is the entire purpose of life itself. Every instinct for every life form this world ever had revolves around reproducing. Sex is ingrained in us at the very primal level, but culturally, we've made sex a taboo subject. Parents are uncomfortable talking to their children about it too often. So it's something that is always on our minds. We're all perverted and want to see if we're really crazy or semi-normal. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.